My name's Alex.
My name's Ross.
Zach Lavoy.
And we're just a couple of big basketball fans, and we thought we'd bring our group text message to life here, both on YouTube and on SoundCloud and eventually iTunes. But to go around the room really quickly, my name's Alex Mack. I'm a business student at Butler University. Before that, I played at Park Tudor High School. I played with guys you may know like Yogi Ferrell, Trayvon Bullitt. You may not know my name, but I met a lot of really interesting people along the way, and hopefully we can have them on the show. Ross?
My name is Ross Blava. I did not play at Park Tudor or anywhere besides the YMCA or pickup with friends, but I've been a Pacer fan all my life since the late 90s when Larry Bird brought the exhibition team to the Fort Wayne Stadium. And as a little kid, I got his autograph, and he told me I had to go to every game. I tried my best. I watched him as much as I can. Much as I can. Moved down to Indianapolis about 2 years ago to help that. Well, work movie, but it helps to be closer.
And for his wife.
Yeah, that helped too. So, Pacers fan my whole life. I had the season tickets to the Mad Ants, the D-League affiliate. You'll learn more about that, I'm sure, as we go on. But that's me in a nutshell.
Zach Lovelace, originally from Dayton, Ohio. You might wonder, why is he a Pacers fan? Well, I grew up watching Reggie Miller, favorite player of all time, and moved here to Indiana and just kept following the Pacers. You know, the reason why we wanted to do this show is because we realized, well, we had a big group message, Pacers talk. Lots of friends talking about the Pacers at every game, and we realized we should take this to the next level. We should give the Pacers fans and other NBA fans out there what they have, the fans' perspective of basketball. So you'll hear a bunch of ranting saying people suck, but you know, that's how it is to be a fan.
That's how it is to be a fan. That's what it's like. All right, let's get right into it. So, it's been a long week for all Pacers fans. We might have looked at the scheduled games this week and thought this is a great week to rebound, get going, home stretch, but that was not the case. Tough losses to Charlotte, blowout. We don't even have to talk about that game. Philly, close win on Wednesday night, but obviously it's the Sixers. And then Friday night, terrible loss, no rebounding, injury to Paul George, not good. And then the Celtics game last night, which we were at, we saw firsthand. 60s night, a lot of people there, a lot of energy in the arena, but Patriots just didn't bring it. What do you guys think about the week?
Beginning of the season, you see Hornets, 2 Sixers, and a Celtics game. You think 3-1 chance, right? 1-3.
Yeah.
not what we were hoping for sure.
Yeah, rough week. You know, you think, new coaching, we're averaging, 110 points a game. We got Dan Burke still, our defense should be good, and yet we're going out there and we're laying eggs, seems like every night.
Yeah.
Not what we're expecting, obviously.
But, so what do we think are the issues here? I mean, we know we've got talent. I think we have more talent than we've ever had. Even when those teams went to Eastern Conference Finals, I think our bench is a lot deeper. I think we've got players who can come in, like Seraphin is a luxury that I don't think we're using right now, but I think it's a luxury we haven't had in a while. Stuckey when he comes back. Obviously, the Young, Teague, Jefferson, big additions. What's going wrong?
Yeah, it's weird. The offense is obviously clicking. Like looking at the Pacers scores, over 100 every game, right? And the Celtics barely 99. So the offense seems to be no problem. There's some kind of disconnect on the defensive end. Is that new players getting used to the system, coaching rotations, coaching decisions?
I mean, I look at our offense though, and I think it's extremely stagnant. I don't know about you guys, but watching it, it's like Ellis or Teague is at the top of the paint, especially with the starting group, and they're just waiting for other guys to make a play. But as soon as Jefferson comes in, it's like everything stops, and we have to make sure that we feed him the ball, and it kills our other players. Like Robinson is not a guy who's just going to stand around. He has to make plays. He has to have the ball in his hands. So.
Yeah, well, before the season, didn't McMillan say we're going to cut out a lot of set plays, we're going to run more of a free-flowing offense with pick and rolls and stuff, and it doesn't seem to be
like that
what the guys are built for, right?
No.
Wrong personnel.
And it's like, what happened to Miles Turner after the game one where he got crazy stats, 30, 16.
Something.
And he's doing good, and he's only a second-year player, but it makes me wonder sometimes, especially last night when Paul George wasn't playing, why aren't they using Miles Turner more? He's supposed to be your future, maybe even your second-best player. Why aren't you giving him the ball every time and giving it to the young fella?
I don't think this team really has an identity right now. I mean, I know we had an identity over the past 5 years of defense is going to win us games, and we're just going to play smash-mouth basketball, and we have a really talented player in George who's going to get us buckets. And now, especially a night like last night, where there was every opportunity for a guy like Teague or Turner or even Young to step up and just say, there's a reason I'm here, and it's not just Paul George's team. they just couldn't step up to the plate. And I mean, I know Teague had a good game and Turner had spots there, but if we're not going to bring that consistently, there's no way that this team can compete with Cleveland. I'm scared for next week when we play Cleveland and Golden State. It's just going to be bad because we haven't played a very good team yet. We've played decent teams. We haven't played an elite team. We might get smacked out of the gym.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like last night, they didn't have Al Horford. Southern didn't have Al Horford. They didn't have Crowder.
Yeah.
And yet they still
James
came out there.
Young. James Young seemed to be the difference maker. A guy who hasn't seen the court in his 2 years in the NBA.
20 plus, right? I don't have the stats in front of me, but he at least had 20 points, it feels like.
It seemed like every time he got in there, someone would drive, like Isaiah Thomas, and all of a sudden, Young's open in the corner for a three-pointer.
Well, 4 guys, I think you mentioned last night, 4 guys collapsing around one. And I don't know if it's, did we spend enough time in training camp? Because I know this is silly to say, but all the clips I saw from training camp on Twitter on video were all clips, no defensive clips, but just running up and down the court with a 14-second shot clock. And we're not even seeing that. We're just seeing a team with a lot of talent, clearly, because they're playing with these teams, but no structure. There's just no structure.
Are they not trusting Miles Turner to back them up as the big man? Is that why they're all collapsing, trying to help him out as a rookie?
No reason not to.
Just not buying into the system that Bert's probably laying out for him.
There's no reason not to.
Well, Miles Turner talked about earlier this year, him being the starter now, he's got to work on communication, especially on the defensive end, because at the center position, you're the anchor. Yeah, he's getting a ton of blocks a game, but is he not calling out the right, switches?
Pick and rolls.
Is someone going over the top when they're supposed to go under? I mean,
but he had a couple of late game turnovers at the very end when we needed to be in the moment.
Teague actually looked really good in the first half against Thomas in the pick and roll, and that's where I think.
That's what amount I almost felt like.
And then the second half he just got away from him there. But I think 2 players that everyone's been talking about the past few weeks or past few days are Monta Ellis and Lavoy Allen. When Lavoy Allen catches the ball, I just cringe.
You don't want him to hold on to it any longer.
Was he 6'9", 6'10"? He can't finish around the lane. I know that. Nate McMillan said the reason we had him in the game was to guard Jonas Jerebko. It's like, if Jonas Jerebko is our biggest problem right now, we're game planning around him, we have an issue here.
Yeah, Thad Young can't guard him. I'm pretty sure Thad Young can shut him down. The time he did drive to the rim, Miles Turner returned him back. Lavoy is not going to, it's ridiculous.
I just don't see how you play him over Serafin, especially when Serafin, more athletic, far more athletic, stronger, better defender, I'd say. Maybe a little less quick, but he makes up for it with his hustle.
I bet he can catch in traffic,
I know Zach's a big Monte fan.
Monta Ellis, it's like, you love the guy, at the same time you hate the guy. It's like, he can drive, he can get you that, that floater, that little, up running hook on people. He can get you points when you need it, but the way the Pacers are structured, him starting with the similar guard in Teague,
it hurts.
It hurts, especially when he's sitting there and they're pick and rolling him all day, or they come off the screen and he's over pursuing every pass, trying to get a steal, and someone just backdoors it and lays it up or gets a quick jumper.
We tweeted about this earlier today, but when Stuckey comes back, a backcourt of Teague, Ellis, Brooks, and Stuckey is not good. And I think they just have to tell Teague, you have to shoot that open 3. I don't care if you don't think you're going to make it. You have to make teams respect you, because otherwise this paint's going to be so clogged up. Paul George's not going to have anywhere to go. Thad Young can't really shoot, nowhere to go. Miles Turner's not going to have any room in the paint. This team, that's why I think Courtney Lee was a name or Conley or Lee were a name that was always talked about this whole offseason, because those guys can space the floor. Yeah. And if CJ Miles is not on the floor, the Pacers have 0 spacing, and it just makes it a really ugly game like last night. Yeah. Especially when CJ Miles didn't even play the third quarter, barely played. It just was really hard to watch.
But then he had 4 fouls, I think. He had 4 fouls at that point, or maybe.
You got to search for something here, though. You got to gamble a little bit.
Monte off the bench?
I like it when Paul's in.
Monte off the bench against the Sixers, he looked really good, actually. Playing against their second unit, maybe.
It is the Sixers.
He can't defend the first unit.
Yeah, and the other thing is, if you bring Ellis off the bench, what happens when Stuckey comes back?
They're the same kind of player, right?
But, we're going to play Stuckey at the 3? I don't know how we're going to stagger our lineups. I think there is a move to be made here. I think Larry knew it before the season. I didn't think he'd have to make it this early. And I think what this first few games have shown is that it's going to have to come a lot sooner than we thought.
Oh, yeah. Something's got to happen, because as fans, we're getting frustrated. But I wish we could be like a fly on the wall and like know what Larry Bird is thinking, like in his office. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, we couldn't say it on the podcast. I think
Yeah.
that's fair to say. But I think he looked at Coach Vogel, and I think we all love Coach Vogel when the time was here. But I think he saw a team that was gaining in talent. I think Monta Ellis is a shooting guard like we haven't had in a very long time as far as just raw talent. With raw talent usually comes some sort of an ego. And I think he looked at our team and said, I'm going to need a guy who can keep these guys in check to make a real run. And Nate has that personality. You get that from his interviews that he's going to make you do something and you're going to do it, otherwise you're going to sit on the bench. But it just looks like everyone's hit a wall. I mean, that team looked depressed last night. They did not look like they were having any fun playing basketball, even though it was almost a sold-out arena, and it was trying to celebrate Pacers basketball with a piss-poor performance like that.
yeah, there's no emotion.
Yeah.
Like you watch them coming out of the tunnel like we did last night. Everybody's got their head down. Everybody looks angry.
They look angry. That's huge
Yeah.
too. CJ Miles looked pissed, and he's used to be like the really fun Pacers.
And it's a different type of angry. It's not like, oh man, we're playing terrible, I'm ticked off. It's like, I'm not having fun playing basketball angry. Like after halftime, the whole second half, everybody walking back to the bench real slow, heads down, not really talking to each other. It's not the same team. And like I said, I don't know if that's the new coaching staff. I don't know if it's the scheme they're running or if it's still chemistry issues, because everybody's still relatively new to each other, but still you think playing with each other since the summer, you would have something to go back to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, we kind of just harped on the negative here for a while. Are there any positives that you guys saw from the first games? Things, I mean, besides offense, we're scoring a lot of points, which is different for the Pacers. Anything players stand out to you?
Miles Turner, like I said, give the dude the ball. I mean, what is he, 19, 20?
He's not going to mean at 20.
Yeah. I mean, his first game he dominated. And then I feel like he's just lost touches since then. I don't know if they're trying to spread the ball out more, trying to get more people involved. But like you said earlier, when Al Jefferson comes in, they focus on Al Jefferson. Give him the ball. Miles Turner comes in, he's with the starters. It's kind of like they're trying to help everybody out. They get Paul involved, they'll get Teague doing something. But like last night when Paul George was out, you'd think that'd be a night where it'd be like, we'll give the ball to Miles, let him do his thing. And you didn't see that at all.
Thought he'd be the number 2 option going into the season, but it feels like he's almost 4th behind Monta and Teague when the whole starting lineup's intact and playing.
Yeah, and you think about, how can you stagger that? I think from a coaching perspective, you have to look at this and say, well, how can we stagger our rotation in a way that we put a lineup out there that focuses around Miles? Do we take Miles out earlier, insert Al with the starters? That way Al has to... That way the starters on the other team have to really focus on Al too. That way maybe Paul has an open lane, but any way to get Miles going, because right now he just has a very negative attitude, and he's 20 years old. I mean, you can't expect him to average 20 and 10 every night.
He had that amazing first game, and then after that...
He's not Karl Anthony Towns, but he is a very talented player.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I think he gets down on himself easily too. After every missed shot, you see him slapping his hands or just putting his head down.
Yeah.
I think he wants to be great. He did a short little thing for NBA TV where he went to the NBA Finals with the Cavs. You guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
And it showed his off-season workouts. He wants to be great, but I think he's putting too much pressure on himself right now and just not going out there and playing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the part of the reason why towards the end of the year last year, his rookie season, he started to flourish is because he was like, well, you know what? I got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Let me show them what I got. Now I feel like he's like,
I got to meet expectations.
yeah, I got to meet expectations. I got to keep growing. I got to meet, I got to be an all-star eventually.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really helping him out.
Yeah, NBA people and us as fans all thought Pacers have a shot at 3 in the East, maybe even 2 in the East, and he probably saw that kind of hype, and him being most improved player, and probably put too much on his shoulders here at the beginning.
I think now we can have this part of the show where we say, Aaron Rodgers, just relax. I think, it's 10 games into the season. It's November. It's early November. They're going to be playing for a couple more months. A lot of games to be played. A lot can happen. I think Pat Boylan was the one who tweeted that the Fever, even though we're comparing the Fever started off. Teams can start off really rough and figure it out at the end of the season. Some of those Colts years, we never started off strong. I hate to talk about the Colts, but still, I think that there's a lot of time left, and I think there's a lot of talent in this team for them to just crumble.
Yeah, looking at the standings, Pacers are only in 10th right now, and literally a game out of the 8th spot. So playoffs are definitely a possibility. It's very early.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about just some general NBA stuff. Pretty much as we expected, Golden State a little bit of a blimp up game of the season, but for the most part, Cavs are ridiculously good. Toronto's really good. Boston in the East, struggling a little bit, but they beat our butt last night. And then going into the West, Clippers look really good.
Yeah.
I mean, they look like. I think this is last year for this team, so that's why I think you see a lot of that. We might as well just play our butts off and see what happens. I don't think they can beat the Warriors, honestly, but the Warriors are just a juggernaut. What do you guys think right now about everything going on in the league?
The Thunder have surprised me like no other. I thought it was like a 2001 Sixers where it's just Allen Iverson, just Russell Westbrook. I thought there's no way that could be sustained. They're 6-3. They're in fourth. They were a lot higher earlier, but they're still overachieving in my eyes. The Lakers, actually in the playoffs.
No,
I ended right now. I
don't see that happening right now. I mean, they're super young. I think Walton has got them playing really good basketball. But I think also last year with Kobe and then what's his face, Byron Scott. Byron Scott. He's just one of the worst coaches.
No offense, former Pacer Byron Scott.
No, take offense.
He means offense.
You're terrible.
I mean offense. You're terrible.
Player, you're a different story, man.
But right now, I think everything's trending as it should. And there are teams right now who, like the Grizzlies, the Rockets, I thought both of those teams would really pick it up. Minnesota's still young, trying to find their go-to guy in the last few minutes. I thought Tibbs would have the defense playing a little bit better, but
still a young
their defense, let's see, averaging 105 points per game. That's not a Tom Thibodeau defense, but he has all the players there to do whatever he wants. And I think by the end of the season, they're going to be
Once Chris Dunn gets used to the starting role, if he stays there, if they move Rubio, whatever they're going to do with that, I think eventually they'll get their pieces together. Maybe not this season.
So let's do. Are we sure they're good? Are we sure that the Houston Rockets are good?
I haven't got
5-4. 5-4.
They're going to score a billion.
I mean, it's
points.
early, but I think we all talked about this team could score the most points in history with Mike D'Antoni and Gordon, Anderson, and Harden. Defense is going to be tough for them, and it has been already. Or they
Fines and him on defense.
Yeah.
Letting the guy go right to the hoop. Is that the kind of motivating leader for a team?
Well, it's not even that. It's just about, it's an 82-game season. You're with these guys every day for 5 or 6 months. You fly with them, you eat with them, you spend all your time with them. And when you do something with them and you just can't stand them, it's going to be a miserable, miserable time. But surprising, the team above the Pacers right now, Brooklyn Nets, a friend of the pod, Yogi Ferrell, just got called up. Really happy for him. I think he'll have a fun time. I think he's going to make an impact on the Brooklyn Nets. Yeah, great situation. There's a lot of teams like that. Look at Troy Williams with the Grizzlies. Hopefully RJ Hunter with the Bulls. A lot of these second-year guys or first-year guys who didn't get drafted where they wanted to. They kind of have that freedom to go where they want to. It's pretty cool for them. Kind of seeing a lot of indie guys in the league right now.
Awesome. Yes. Brooklyn Nets, do you think they're going to sustain 4 and 5?
Well,
No.
More so? Sneak into the playoffs?
No.
To go back to the Houston fans, though, because they were kind of bashing Harden. James Harden this year, he's huge. Okay, 30 points a game, 13 assists a game with 8 rebounds right now.
But in a D'Antoni system, there's going to be a lot of assists and points.
I'm just saying, if we get these Houston fans watching, they're going to be saying, that guy's calling out James Harden. Dude's averaging a double-double.
They're not going to win with this.
I'm not saying they're going to win
Can
with
they beat
Harden.
the Clippers?
I think they need someone else. I think Harden is like the number 2. He needs to be the number 2 star on the team for him to be a championship.
Which is funny because he wants to be a number 1.
But he wants to be a number 1.
He would never be.
I think he can be a number 1, but I just don't think he can have the same type of game. I think he has to change his game. He cannot be a point guard on a team like that. Basically, he's that guy at LA Fitness or the guy at the YMCA who has all the gear on, all the shooting sleeves, all the headbands, and just goes up and down the court. And although he may be good and score 9 out of your 10 points, guess what? The other team's winning 11-9, 11-10 every time because this guy just won't let his teammates make a place for the team.
Or play defense.
It's like fantasy football. Blake Bortles is your quarterback. You're going to get a lot of points, but is he actually good?
Well,
yeah, he's going to score
Yeah.
crazy points, but
Another thing I saw on our list is Greg Oden came out and said where is he? Greg Oden came out and said that he is the biggest NBA flop in history. And I absolutely disagree with him because a flop or a bust has to actually play
And prove it.
and prove it. But in the time he did play, great player, was averaging I think 12 and 8. I mean, for a guy who only played a couple games. I just wanted to say for the record that I was not a fan of that quote.
Well, there's a difference. You got Greg Oden who's injured.
Adam Moore, I think Adam Moore.
Yeah.
Adam Morrison.
Kwame Brown.
Who had all the
Bust.
time in the
How
world.
many times?
That's a bust.
That's a bust.
I lumped him in with the other Portland Trailblazer. I can't remember his
Brandon
name.
Roy?
There you go, Brandon Roy. Amazing player.
Just injuries.
Couldn't stay on the
Don't
court.
say that, Greg. Don't say that, Greg. Don't say that. And then we got Conley up there. Finally came back from his injury. Looks really strong. $30 million is a lot.
Is he worth
a lot to live up to. He is.
Contract?
Well, in this NBA environment, he is. But that's a lot to live.
Had a 4-5 record.
That's a lot to live up. Just give him time. Give him
I
time.
don't really have.
I'd still like to see him on the Pacers. I mean, I'd take
I
him.
wanted that so bad.
Heartbeat.
Yeah.
I'd take him.
All right, so let's look at the next few games for the Pacers. We've got the Magic tomorrow night. Vogelback. He really wants to beat us. Then we have the Cavs on 16.
Magic though are 3-6, I believe. I had that stat
They-
a minute ago.
Their roster doesn't make
Their
any sense.
roster is backwards. Yeah. How
Why?
many big
A lot
guys
of
do they have?
big, yeah.
Vucevic,
But yeah, Biombo
Biombo,
and
Ibaka.
Ibaka.
There you go. And they all want playing time.
Aaron Gordon is not a 3. He's
He
a
should
4.
get
Yeah.
more playing time.
Doesn't
at
make
those
any
big
sense.
spots, and they got too many bigs in his way.
I don't know who the new. Well, it's actually the same GM, but that young guy who is the GM. I forgot his name for the Magic. But this team assets, but it's kind of like where the Celtics were 2 years ago, where the team just didn't make any sense. Now the Celtics make sense now. They have their backup backcourt. They have a really strong front court. And they have their starting small forward. Right now, the Magic are kind of in that weird zone where it's like we actually have all-star caliber players, but if we're actually trying to win, we need to ship some of these guys. Which
Somewhere
kind
there
of
are Magic
interesting.
fans doing this right now, going, "We have all these fun pieces and a great coach, and why are we not winning?"
Yeah. Well, this is gonna be a tough game Monday. Hopefully, Paul's back. Cavs is gonna be an awfully tough game.
God. I want to watch it.
I think it might be an ESPN game too, so who knows?
Oh.
Then a Hickory night versus the Suns. Suns are terrible. They lost to Brooklyn last night at home,
Yeah.
and then against the Thunder, and then.
Oh, yes.
That will also be interesting. I know that we have the worst back-to-back in the league this year. In a couple weeks, it's at the Thunder, and then we fly back and play Golden State here.
I think the stat was 0-4 on back-to-back games already this year, or at least 0-2.
Who are?
Pacers.
Pacers.
We've lost it. Well, our record's terrible, so you figure we've lost every back-to-back.
It's just not good.
Second night of back-to-back.
Yeah.
Not good for the Pacers.
It's just not good. Let's talk a little college basketball. We've got a Dayton UD. Dayton
Go UD.
season ticket holder here.
Flyers.
We've got a big IU fan. I go to Butler, so I guess it makes me a Butler fan. But I've got a couple friends who play a couple different places, so I like to catch up. But IU, we're going to talk a little about that. Great win, 103-99 over Kansas.
That game every year the Hoosiers open up. It feels like in that Maui Invitational, I believe it is, the one in Hawaii.
Yeah, this year's the Armed
This
Forces
year changed
Invitational.
names, that's right. They always play Kansas, or they play one of these big name teams right off the bat. So
Usually
fans
they
every
get
year-
smacked.
Yeah, fans every year are like, "Oh, what kind of team do we actually have?"
And the diehards, the Andy Moores of the
We
world.
get killed, and then we go, "Oh, this team, I don't know, fire cream, fire cream." This year they win
Yeah.
in a very convincing fashion. Not very, we went to overtime.
They
but
played well.
a
They played
solid
well, though.
win. Yeah, it wasn't a
Did a lot of
game.
defense.
A lot of threes too.
But they look good. Their backcourt is deep. Curtis Jones, freshman, 15 points first game. That's pretty
Dang.
impressive against a really strong backcourt. from
Blackman didn't
Kansas.
look too bad first game. back
Mason
after
and
missing all
Graham.
last
They look
year.
good. They look good. I'm excited for them. It'd be interesting. A lot of people are talking about now that generation of the movement. It's gone, way gone, and now you've got a whole new generation of players.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be a really fun team. No one really knows who they are right now, but I mean, they know who OG and they know who Thomas Bryant is. It'll be a fun
A
team.
lot of talk about OG.
A lot of talk.
We can talk about that later in the game.
Purdue, solid win the other night. Some issues there, as usual, with some team conduct. A couple players suspended already this season. Not going to go any farther there, but we'll see how Purdue is. They always have a good team, just a matter of pulling it together the rest of the season. Butler looked pretty good the other night. I don't know, they lost a lot of experience, a lot of names, just like IU, household names. So maybe just like IU, they kind of pull it together with more of a depth, more than some stars. Got any UD stuff for us, Zach?
Well, UD played, I never know how to pronounce it, Austin Pay. Austin
P. I
Oh,
think Austin P.
Yeah.
Austin
Austin
Pay.
PA.
PA. Pretty good win for Dayton, 96-68. Obviously, that was the night they were
Not bad.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're projected to go first in the league at 10. I was wondering how they'd be this year after Big Steve passed away.
Really sad too. I got to play with him in a couple AU tournaments. Big heart. When I heard about it, it's terrible.
Super nice guy. It's a sad thing. I met him a couple times at the NCAAB tournament. But that was Friday night was the night they did like a tribute to Big Steve.
Yeah.
Obviously, they wanted to win for that, so they went out with 28-point win. They should be good this year. They got Charles Cook's a senior. There's a bunch of guys that have been around for a while, like Scoochie Smith. Next year will be the year that
Scoochie Smith.
Scoochie.
Is that seriously his first name?
Yeah, Scoochie Smith.
It's like Coco Crisp or Hot Clinton Dix.
Oh, yeah.
Scoochie Smith.
So once we lose, our seniors will be a pretty young class this year. But I think as long as we have Archie Miller, we'll be all right until he gets picked up by.
Good to know. All right, let's do the first corner three. So every week we're gonna do the corner three. So this week it's the top 3 Indiana college basketball teams. So Ross.
Did you want to push it to 4 a little bit? We can talk about.
All right, we'll give it to 4 because we don't want to.
Because we went through what are all the Division I basketball teams?
No. Well, we just don't want to leave out Notre Dame. We're going to say that Indiana State, IUPUI. I'm sorry, but we're ESPN. We're going to go with the top 4. So we have IU, Butler, Purdue, and Notre Dame. Ross, who you got?
IU's got to be the number 1, I think, here in the state going forward for sure. Purdue and Butler, I haven't seen them or read anything. You're more up to date on them. I would have changed those 2 and 3, and I think Notre Dame's the 4th if we had to rank them that way.
Yeah.
Obviously, IU.
Obviously, IU. I'm confident.
I mean, you're number 11 in the nation, then you beat number 3.
Early season rankings don't mean much, but okay.
Feels good though.
But like Purdue, Butler, Notre Dame, they haven't played anybody that high.
Yeah.
They're not ranked that high either. So obviously, you got to go with what at least projection-wise, or what people out there in the media or ESPN has seen as IU probably 1. I would honestly probably put Purdue at 2, just because Butler, like he said, lost a lot of people. I don't know how they're going to fare with the Big East this year, and then Notre Dame would be my 4th.
I'll put IU at 1, but I'd be cautious here. I think that was a great win, a lot of emotion on opening night, a game, playing on national television, everyone's watching you, primetime game. Butler is sneaky good. They have transferred Avery Woodson, really talented. Keelan Martin is a contender for Player of the Year in the Big East. You got Tyler Lewis, former McDonald's All-American, Tyler Weidman, Shravich are returning starters, and then you've got Kamar Baldwin, the freshman. You've just got a lot of interesting pieces, and it'll be interesting what Holtman does. This is the first year where really he doesn't have any of Stevens' recruits to rely on. This is all of his guys. So how does he do? Does he do any better than he does the past few years? Or does it show that those players who came from Stevens were really the reason that they've had some success? I mean, they really haven't done much in the NCAA tournament, but I mean, we're looking back at 2 national championship appearances, but still, this is I think this is a big year for Holtman. They just signed him to an extension, so we'll see if he earns it.
Yeah, it's early in the season. This weekend was the first weekend.
Yeah.
Let's wait a couple of weeks and we'll project it out. For all we know, I think Evansville even has somebody that might be projected high for a second-round pick. I think I saw. It's early, like I said, but Evansville might get a shout out eventually.
maybe you Purple Aces fans out there.
Oh boy.
All right, well, that wraps it up for us. Thank you for joining us for the first episode. Oh, predictions.
Yeah,
we did.
Just kidding.
Because there's actually going to be.
All right, we're going to do. All right, so we can tell this out. So we're going to do. So every week we're going to do some predictions, just for both the TNT games and then the Pacers' next few games during the week. So for the TNT games, we have Sixers.
I think Evansville even has somebody that might be projected high for a second-round pick. I think I saw. It's early, like I said, but Evansville might get a shout out eventually.
maybe you Purple Aces fans out there.
Oh boy.
All right, well, that wraps it up for us. Thank you for joining us for the first episode. Oh, predictions.
Yeah, we did.
Just kidding. We're going to do some predictions and then the Pacers' next few games during the week. So Magic, Cavs, Suns, Thunder. Go against the Pacers. I got 2 losses, 2 wins. They win Monday night, they win against the Suns.
Beat the Suns and lose against the other 2. That's what I want.
Is Thunder at home? Is that for sure? I think, or is that away? And then the next night is Golden State.
That's a good question.
I thought it was Suns home, Thunder away. I may have written it down.
I think it's Thunder away. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't actually. You know what? We had the Thunder's number last year. At OKC, we did. No, we didn't.
No, we won, but it wasn't. I'm taking 2 and 2 weeks, which.
2-2. Let's see. I'm gonna say 1 and 3, but I'm gonna predict that they're actually gonna beat the Thunder and they're gonna lose their next 3 to the Magic, Cavs, and Suns.
Interesting.
I'm gonna go a little bit different. They just look really disorganized right now. They don't seem like they really want to play ball.
I'm not very confident in my team too, so that's probably a good call.
So I think
got-
1 and 3.
What's your call?
I'll go 3 and 1. I'll say.
I like this.
I say they
So the
I say
losses
they-
too.
only lost to the Thunder.
Ooh.
I think Russ eats Jeff Teague and Aaron Brooks alive. Like 45 points. But I think for some reason, Paul George has one of those games. Miles Turner does really well against Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson. Not really any big length there that he has to worry about. Thad Young kind of have his way a little bit on the boards against Kevin Love. Jeff Teague just deals with Kyrie Irving, and I think Paul George is one of those games. I think the Suns I'm not worried about. Magic, nothing to worry about. Thunder, Russ just scares me to death. I'm sorry. Russ is the scariest player in the NBA to me. Even more so than LeBron, because I think LeBron sometimes is nice where he says, I'll let Kyrie go to work. I think Russ every night just wants to kill everyone.
MVP.
Honestly, kill everyone with a basketball. Like, if he could dribble someone to death, he would do that.
He'd shove it down the throat.
Not like Monta Ellis dribble someone to death, but different.
You're trying to hurt somebody.
Different.
Monta Ellis he just likes holding the ball.
Monta Ellis just likes to dribble the ball. He does this. He does this. For those who are listening on SoundCloud, he just puts his hands in front of his face and acts like someone just ran over his dog. He's like, "Why did you do that?"
Yeah.
I can't stand.
I will
that
give
guy.
him credit though. At least he can hold the ball unlike Lavoy Allen. So
Oh jeez.
Lavoy Allen.
The scrum.
I'm sorry, but I got nothing for Lavoy Allen. You
can throw
nothing
so many
for Lavoy
stats out.
Lavoy Allen, you get 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
No, this is a moment of silence for Lavoy Allen's Pacer career because it's about to come to an end pretty soon. Thank you, everyone.
That's all good.
That's all we got. All right, now that sums it up for the first episode of the Corner 3 show. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.